In almost every major urban center today, there is a race divide that is so painful, it is so deep. So many more Black Americans are dying of coronavirus than whites. So many more Blacks have existing conditions and no access to proper health care. So many more Blacks have been incarcerated. So many more Blacks have been abused by police. So many more Blacks do not have the opportunity to get proper education. So many more Blacks feel disenfranchised, that the system is fundamentally rigged against them. And so when they see what happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis on Memorial Day just 1 week ago, and nothing happens to these officers, they do not get charged for murder. They do not get charged for crimes until after days of demonstrations and violent protests. What are you going to do? And of course, this is also going to be exacerbated by social media, by polarization, and yes, even by external sources. So on that front, the Americans are deeply broken today and not getting fixed anytime soon. I had hoped that President Trump would not have a crisis of significant scale on his watch. Not only does he have a crisis, he has the worst crisis of our lifetimes. And surprise, surprise, he's not responding to it by unifying the country, he's further dividing the country. On the society side is where the United States is, of course, failing. That's where you see this massive inequality, much bigger in the US than in Europe, and also massive racial inequality in the United States. And that is playing out very badly indeed in my city, in New York City. And I'm hearing it right now. Massive protests just a few blocks outside of where I sit right now. Over the last 3 months, all I've been hearing are ambulances every day, every night. Now I'm not hearing as many ambulances because there aren't as many people dying. Instead, I'm hearing police sirens all day, all night. I'm hearing helicopters all day, all night. There are no country winners from coronavirus. Everyone does worse as a consequence of this crisis. But some countries don't do as badly as other countries. And the big winners are the tech companies. They're the companies that allow us to have a couple thousand people that we're talking to right now between Brazil and the United States. And the Americans dominate that field compared to our allies. We have all those companies. Coming off of coronavirus and coming out of riots is more surveillance, less privacy, more big data, more deep learning, stronger monopolies among those American companies. The only companies that compete are the Chinese, and they will not be allowed to compete in the American or advanced industrial democracy space because of the tech Cold War with the Americans. I also think the role of the US dollar will be stronger as a global reserve currency than it was before. People will not feel as confident about the euro or about the pound sterling or about the yen.
Both in industrialized economies and emerging market alike. And we are seeing a pretty significant rally around the flag effect. You look at a number of different leaders are seeing their approval ratings, rise out of COVID-19, anywhere from 5, 10, 20 percentage points. And usually these are the leaders that have enacted stronger measures to tackle a public health crisis in a context where the public is very scared of their own safety with this global pandemic. We have another crop of leaders, however, who haven't fared as well, haven't really benefited from a rally around the flag effect. We certainly can put Jair Bolsonaro in that camp, who has his approval ratings drop a bit. I think we put Manuel Lopez Obrador within that category. We put Donald Trump. What's interesting is that leaders who had very strong anti-system, anti-establishment credentials coming into COVID-19 are performing more poorly in comparison to leaders who have at least the traditional establishment credentials.
Trump acts a lot like a lot of others who are in his party. He has reduced regulatory authority. He's elected a lot of conservative judges. He's put in place a Fed chair who's very much in line with previous Fed chairs. He's not draining the swamp. He has a cabinet that is enormously oriented towards the private sector and wealthy special interests. He's reduced taxes on the wealthy and on big business.